entrepreneurs have a lot to consider. We're at the midpoint of a decade that has brought solid economic growth and technological breakthroughs, but which also gave us a global pandemic and ongoing geopolitical conflicts. This is the main scenario that UBS explored in the first edition of its UBS Global Entrepreneur Report. So what are entrepreneurs thinking about today? We're going to get into those details and a whole lot more right now on UBS Trending. Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of UBS Trending. I'm Anthony Pastore, your host for the next few minutes, and I am back in the studio with UBS's Business Owners Client Segment Head, James Jack. James, good to have you with me. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me back, Anthony.
Always. So I wanted to share with our audience that you just released the Global Entrepreneur Report for 2025. It's fantastic. Lots of great information in there, which we're going to get to right now. And I want to kind of start off with what I found to be one of the most interesting parts of the report, which was not only that it's global, so it's for all over the world, but it's solely of UBS clients, which is a really unique survey that we usually kind of go out to the public more. Talk more about that with us.
Yeah, thanks again, Anthony, for having me back. The report was a really huge effort across UBS, spearheaded by our colleagues in Zurich. But yeah, you're right. The global nature of bringing in UBS's clients is really something special. So we surveyed over 150 entrepreneurs with an average revenue of more than $120 million. That's pretty huge, from all across the Americas, Europe, Switzerland, and Asia. And I think that the significant size of these businesses is really something unique. It offers, I think, again, a lot of credibility in its findings for other entrepreneurs who are squarely in the middle market. In terms of the key findings, I think a general theme about business owners is that they are optimistic about their industry's prospects. Although, like you said, it is tempered a bit by concerns around tariffs and geopolitics. I don't think that's too much of a surprise right there, but what's interesting is that vis-a-vis the other regions, those in the Americas showed a notably different approach across several areas.
Yeah, I wanted to break that down with you because I do find that to be really interesting. There's some really great charts and infographics that you use within the report. So talk about that portion of it, what's happening in the Americas.
Well, I think to start, Anthony, is about optimism. Business owners in general are very optimistic, but 60% of those that we surveyed were at least somewhat optimistic. However, those in the Americas are very optimistic, about 29%. Whereas their peers in Europe and Asia were a bit more muted. Only 6% and 13% of those respondents were very optimistic. But we also asked where they plan to make investments. In the next year, about a third of those in the Americas plan to significantly increase their total business investments, whereas their peers were, again, a bit more muted. Elsewhere, about 20% actually said that they plan to decrease their investments. That's double than that of those from the Americas, actually.
Great. I want to talk about what they're investing in, and one of the things that you talk about in the report is that entrepreneurs are expecting to invest in artificial intelligence. It's almost like an inescapable investment these days. So what are they thinking about when it comes to AI, and how are they investing in it?
It's definitely something that's on their mind.
Big topic for them.
Yeah, of course. I don't think that is in general a bit of a surprise. So they have a little doubt. They have little doubt, that AI is a great potential for nearly 2/3 of them actually think it's going to be the greatest commercial opportunity for their industry. But as a result of that, just a bit less than half actually plan to invest in AI and digital transformation in general. So that's fairly consistent across all the regions. But one area of difference, though, is that more than 2/3 of America's respondents actually they plan to invest in people. So almost 20 points higher overall. So there's a lot of talk about AI and people and what that means. It's a nice, interesting little difference there.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to see it that way. I think people automatically think AI, and that means a descaling of human capital, but that's not the case. And it's nice to see that business owners are keeping their human beings in mind when it comes to even investing in AI. One thing that I was really intrigued about in the report, and I guess I never really thought about it, but something that I'm sure you've come across, is that a lot of the business owners that you interviewed or surveyed in this were talking about their succession plans, and we've had conversations about that. But also what I found interesting is that not a lot of them that you found were investing in their own private wealth, which I found to be so, I guess they focused so much on the business, they didn't have time to think about their own personal uses. Talk about that, because I think that's such a an interesting place for a business owner to be when they're exiting their business, but they don't really have anything on the personal side.
Yeah, Anthony, I think you've learned a lot about business owners and the kind of the how they think about things in investment. So yeah, exactly, you're right. About half of the America's respondents and slightly lower number overall say that they have not built up their wealth outside their business. I'm not surprised like that in general, like you just mentioned, but I was a bit surprised because on the other hand, these are UBS clients. They have fairly significant businesses. So you would think they'd have a bit of a leg up. And I think it goes to show that across the gamut, business owners tend to be focused on the here and now. So I'm sure for most business owners in general, many of them don't likely have a formal financial advisor relationship. That number would be actually probably much, much lower. So for me, this is why we're really pounding the pavement at UBS to try to connect with business owners and have them think about all of this. After all, I think a business owner sale, may be the most significant financial event of a business owner's life. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot at stake, and too often I see business owners scrambling or being reactionary. They're not being deliberate. So with the optimism that many of these business owners have, coupled with some of the recovery in the M&A market that we saw last year, I think it's very possible that that recovery in M&A can continue. And I think many strategic buyers and private equity buyers will need to find strong acquisition targets to meet their own growth goals. That's a great place for business owners to be in. But far too often, business owners haven't done the proper financial planning. They haven't talked to their advisors about advanced wealth planning. That's going to really help them maximize the proceeds that they keep from a business sale. So, maybe kind of shameless plug for UBS is, work with your UBS financial advisor to help build a fulsome deal team. Do the planning, connect to an investment banker well in advance of a sale. All of that can make a huge positive impact. And hopefully that helps reduce any of the unease or agita that comes by these entrepreneurs thinking that they don't have enough of their own private wealth to enjoy their next chapter.
That's a true New Yorker who uses the word agita in a UBS Trending episode, James. And one of the things, and just to follow up with that, I really love that in the report you acknowledged, and I quote, that most of the survey participants acknowledge the importance of expert investment guidance or advice. So clearly, the shameless plug is true.
Just will they act on it?
Will they take the next step, right? And hopefully they will, especially as some of them are getting close to that exit plan where they could bring in a large sum of money when they sell their business. So
it's a huge opportunity for business owners. So it would be a shame to be not thinking about it diligently.
Exactly. James, thanks very much. Congratulations on the report, the Global Entrepreneur Report for 2025. First edition. I'm sure there'll be many more in the years to come. Knock on wood, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me back.
Good to see you,
Anthony.
James Jack. Great to have you. Come back again soon. And thank you all for joining us. For more about the report, please speak with your UBS financial advisor, or you can visit the website that is on our screen right there, global-entrepreneur-report-us. If you're interested in seeing what entrepreneurs are thinking about, or you're an entrepreneur yourself, lots of great information in that report for you to take a look at. And make sure to follow UBS on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Plus, you can check out on Instagram our dedicated channel at UBS Trending. Lots of great UBS Studios content there for you to take a look at. And as always, again, we'll remind you for the fifth time, I think, make sure you are chatting with your financial advisor. Until next time, I'm Anthony Pastore. Have a great rest of your day, and remember to keep your eyes on what's trending. We'll see you soon.